Hilchas Ishus Perik Shishi. So here, the first five problems the Rambam discusses the mitzvahs HaKedushin and who you're allowed to get married to, and then the Oifen knows what's the Hagdara, who's a Ktana, who's a Gdela, who's a Begris, when you're B'Shusavia, you're not B'Shusavia, Kama Protim, and Das Isha, that she has to have Das, and then how do you get married? There's Bekesa B'Shtar Rabbi, goes through the Protim of Bekesa B'Shtar Rabbi. And then there's also a Arichos and Perik Hey, but again, what's called Kesef Kedushin? What constitutes Kesef Kedushin? There has to be a Shava Pruta, and it can be Asur Bano, Kama V'Kama Protim. Now there's a new Musa called a T'nai, that a person could make a Chales Kedushin, and that Chales Kedushin could be Allah T'nai, and that's a Klol is the Kenyan. That in other Inyanim as well, there's a Musa called T'noim, and here the Rambam is really Mavair, Mishpate Atnoim, the Musig of Tnoim, which is Negeh, a side to Kedushin, a side to Gerushin, and side to Kinyon. So, Perik Shishi. HaMekadosh al Tnai is Im Niskayim Atnai Mikudeshes. Bimlei Niskayim Einam Kudeshes. So that's a Chidush, that a person could make a Maisa Kedushin, and that Maisa Kedushin could be contingent on a Tnai. Im Niskayim Atnai is Mikudeshes. Bimlei Niskayim Einam Kudeshes. In other words, a person Shechza Behema. So you can't make a Tanai on the Shechita. I mean, that has nothing to do with Das. Since you want to make, you made a Meiser Shechita, so whether you made a Tanai, you didn't make a Tanai. Lepel, if the Shechita was a kosher Shechita, it's a kosher Shechita. Mashenk in Kedushin, over here, there's a din that the Kedushin should be ala Tanai. Ben Shohaya Tanai Menoyish, Ben Shohaya Menoyisha. It makes no difference who's the one that made the Tanai, who articulated the Tanai, the Ish or the Isha. There's a Musik called a Tanai. Now, v'chol t'nai shebe'elam, bein b'kedushin, bein b'gerushin, bein b'mekach u'memker, bein b'sh'ar dini momen, is sorech, those places where t'noim help, is sorech liyez b'tnai arbod dvar. In order for the t'nai to be considered a proper t'nai, it has to be arbod dvar. And if it doesn't have the arbod dvarim, it's not a t'nai, and memel it's kili, you didn't make a t'nai. Whereas the Chiddush, when you make a Tanai, the Tanai has a din of a Tanai, and therefore the Chales is Taka Toli in the Tanai. Masha'inkin, if it doesn't have these Arbot Dvarim, so then the Chales is Chal, regardless of the Tanai, even though according to the Tanai, the Chales shouldn't be Chal, but the Chales is Chal even without the Tanai. We'll learn. Halacha Beis. Ve'eloheinu Arbot Dvarim shall kol Tanai. The first thing is Sheyir Tanai Kofel. There should be a Tanai Kofel. You should say Sai Vehein and Sai Delav. Sai if yeah, and if not. We'll soon learn. And then the Shia Hein Shalei Kedem Lelav. The Hein should be Kedem Lelav. In other words, that if the Tanai is Niskayim, so then it will work. And if the Tanai is not Niskayim, it won't work. So first you should speak about when the Tanai does work, and then when it doesn't work. And the Rambam is going to titrate all the Tanoim, all the Protim. And also, V'shiyah T'nai Kedem L'maisa. First, you should speak about the T'nai, and then you should speak about what will happen with the T'nai. You shouldn't speak about the Maisa before the T'nai. And also, V'shiyah T'nai Dover She'ef Shelekayim. See, this is the four Protim, Nachamo. It has to be a T'nai Kofel. It has to be Hein Kedem L'lav. It has to be T'nai Kedem L'maisa. And it has to be a T'nai, which is Dover She'ef Shelekayim. V'mchoser T'nai Echad Mehem. So then hari a T'nai bottle, ukilu ein shom T'nai klal. Elatia zu mikudeshes, e megureshes, v'yiskayim hamekach, e matana miyad. Ukilu lehisna klal, heil v'choser T'nai echad min arbo. So it says the whole musig of T'nai is something we learn out from T'nai b'negod b'nei Reuven, and it's a chidush that there is a musig called the T'nai. In other words, without the chidush of the musig of T'nai, there wouldn't be a musig of a T'nai, so we wouldn't rechanzak with the T'nai. As we said, just like if you shechta behema, you don't rechanzach with the T'nai. So al derech zeh, it's a chidush that you rechanzach with the T'nai. But this din that you rechanzach with the T'nai is only if the T'nai has these four pratim, which are hein kedem lelav and T'nai kedem lemaisa, and there should be nachamol hein kedem. It has to be a T'nai kofel, and it has to be hein kedem lelav, and it has to be T'nai kedem lemaisa, and it has to be davar she'ef shelekayim. Masha'inkin, if you don't have these pratim, so then is keilu lehisna klal, hail v'chasar atnai echad min arbo. Halacha Gimel, Ketzad. Ha'im leisha, im titni li masayim zuz, hariyat mukudeshes li bedin uzeh. V'im lei titni li leiti mukudeshes, Va'achar shehisna tnai ze nosnu hadinner is harei hatnai kayum v'harei ze mukudeshes al tnai. V'im nosnu imasayim zuz tia mukudeshes. V'im lei nosnu eina mukudeshes. That would be a regular tnai that you have. First of all, a tnai kofel. You have hein kedem lelav. You have the tnai kedem lemaisa. And it's a davar shefshel l'kaim. It has all four pratim. Memela, it's a proper tnai. Now, what would be a maisa kedem l'tnai? So l'chura, and that's how a lot of Rishonim learn, that the shaila is in the nusach of the tnai, the nusach of the tnai. In other words, he said, im titli masayim zuz areat mukadeshes. Vim leit titni leiti mukadeshes. So first he started im titni leit. And then he said areat mukadeshes. What happens if you would say hareat mukadeshes, im titli masayim zuz? Instead of saying im titni hareat mukadeshes, he would start hareat mukadeshes im titni. So l'chura over here, he starts off with hareat mukadeshes, and then he adds im titni. So that's what l'chura would be, a maisa kedem l'tnai. That says in the nusach of his saying, he's speaking about hareat mukadeshes before he mentions the im titni. That would l'chura be the maisa kedem l'tnai. That's how the Rabbi learns, that's how the Ramach learns, and other Rishonim learn. But the Lashon Rambam here in Halachah Daled, when he's going to speak about a maisa kedem l'tnai, he's going to speak about not only in the nusach, but also in the act. It says, Avol, im omer lo hareat mukudeshes li bedinur zeh, and v'nosan hadinur biyodi. And then the hishlam atnai, and v'omar im titli masayim zuz tihim mukudeshes, v'im leit titni li leitihim mukudeshes. So then is hareat tnai bottle. Why? Mepnei shehigdim hamaisa, v'nosan biyodi. So the Ram says clearly, mepnei shehigdim hamaisa, v'nosan biyodi, v'achar kach hisna. V'aval pisha akel b'tech kidei dibur. So the Rambam's bavar, there's a chidush that the taich of maisa kedem l'tnai means that there was actually a maisa kedem l'tnai. So what would be taka if she would say hareat mekudeshes li'im titli masayim zuz? So vice is the pashtus lashon Rambam, that wouldn't be a problem. So even though the lashon that the Rambam said in Halachah Gimel was im titli masayim zuz hareat mekudesh, the Rambam should have said a bigger chidush. Hareat mekudeshes li'im titli masayim zuz. If that's not a problem of maisa kedem l'tnai. If in the nusach there's not a problem maisa kedem l'tnai, l'chura the Rambam should have said in Halachah Gimel hareat mekudeshes li'im titni. So that would have made clearly that even that's not a problem of maisa kedem l'tnai, because a maisa kedem l'tnai is only when you actually gave it, not when you only said it. So it's a little bit shver. So no, in Halachah Gimel it sounds like the Rambam is saying that the proper lashon is taka the tnai kedem l'maisa in the dibur, and you shouldn't say the maisa kedem l'tnai. Masha'ink in Halachah Dalet it sounds like that the problem is only if there was actually a maisa. Because if he actually gave it before he verbalized the tnai, that would be a problem of a maisa kedem l'tnai. And on that the Rishonim are tiny, not like that. They're tiny. No, that's not the only problem. The problem is even if in the nusach, even though the pale you didn't give it. But if a person says hareat mikudeshesli im titl masayim zuz, that would be a maisa kedem l'tnai, and then the tnai would be bottled, because in the nusach of the Bnei Gad Bnei Reuven it was fakert. First he said the tnai, and then he said what'll happen. That's l'chura what's happening. So no, they're arguing with the Rambam. What mashma the pashtus had learned from the Rambam, and there's a shtickle ha'ara in Rambam, like a shtickle stira, that the diuk of Halachah Gimel sounds like the Rabbi, that it has to be the nusach hatnai has to be kedem l'maisa. But in Halachah Dalet, the Rambam seems to be saying that the problem is if the maisa bepel was kedem hatnai, but not if the nusach ha'maisa was kedem hatnai. So that's one issue. That's an issue. That's l'chura. That's a shtickle pshat and Rambam. That's the pill we pass like the Rabbi. But that's number one. Then there's another issue that l'chura, if he act, so what's the problem? A maisa kedem l'tnai is a problem in hilchos tnoim. There's a din in hilchos tnoim. You have to have a tnai kofel, you have to have a davar shefshel l'kaimei, and it has to be hen kedem l'lav. So there's another hilchos in hilchos tnoim that it has to be that tnai kedem l'maisa. But l'chura, the tzir of the Rambam, it's not because of tnai kedem l'maisa. L'chura, because the maisa was done already. Once the maisa was done, so helfnish kim tnai. You already mekadosh the isha. You actually gave her you said areat mekudeshes, and you gave her the money, so she's already mekudeshes. So the tnai is not going to help. Not mitzad the din that such a tnai doesn't work because of hilchis tnoim. L'chura, because it's already lachra maisa. So the tnai doesn't help. From the Lashon, it sounds like it's not like that. It sounds like in Hilchas Hatnoim, there's a din that it has to be a Tnai Kedem Lamaisa. So the Maisa is, that's what the Rambam warns. The Rambam says that Afal Pi Shakil B'Techidei Dibur. So there's no problem in the sense that since it's already Lachra Maisa, how are you making Tnoim now? It's B'Techidei Dibur. So Memela Be'etzem Atnai should help. And the emes is that later on we're going to learn that there's a din, there's certain Tnoim that you don't need all these pratim. You don't need all these pratim. If you say L'mashal Manas or you say Mi'achshav, so such a Tanai, you don't need all the Dalit pratim. You don't need at least 3 of the Dalit pratim. So, but from that, and over there, let's say if you'll give her the money, say Hareat Mukudeshesli Al Manas, whatever it is, Al Manas. You didn't say the Tanai Be'im, you said Al Manas, a different Lashon. And then Al Manas works without the Tnoim. So then the Taka the Tnai is Chal, even though you gave the money first and then you made the Tnai. Because since it was Techkidei Dibur, so the fact that you gave the money first doesn't mean that you can't make a Tnai. Because since it's Techkidei Dibur, so maybe the Tnai could work. By Kedushin, Techkidei Dibur doesn't work to have Chazorah of the Kedushin. Regarding that, there's a special doing by Kedushin. You don't have Chazorah from the Kedushin through Techkidei Dibur. But if you're in the middle of still, you gave the money and still Techkidei Dibur, it's considered that it's still the middle of the Kedushin. So in Mela Be'etzem, you could make a Tnai. What's the Chsarn over here? The Chsarn over here is not because it's Shem Farfalm. The Chsarn over here is because Hilchas Noim is that it has to be Tnai Kedem Lamaisa. That I'm just saying that. So there's two Chidushim over here, Pshat. This is, first of all, the Nusach that the Rambam says is good. When he says Tnai Kedem Lamaisa, is also, he says the Nusach that the Tnai was before he spoke about the Maisa. Im Titnuli is Tehei Mukudeshes. What happens if we'll say Hariyat Mukudeshes Im Titnuli? He didn't say that it works. Then when he speaks about what doesn't work, he doesn't say if he said Im Titnuli, Hariyat Mukudeshes Im Titnuli. Over there he said the Nusach that he gave it to her. He gave it to her. That the Rishonim is. Why do you have to say only in such a tzira it doesn't work? But from there, even if you're going to learn that according to the Rambam, only in such a tzira it doesn't work. But it doesn't work mitzad mishpatei apnoim because be'etzim, since it's techidei dibur, so you can't say it's farfal. So l'chura, why can't I still add it tonight? Just like if I would add it tonight, al manasa would work. Why doesn't it work over here? The answer is mitzad hilchas mishpatei apnoim. It has to be tonight. Kedem l'mais. Yeah. Let's read again Halachah Dal. Avalim amala hareat mukudeshes libediner zeh. V'nasan adiner biyodei. And v'hishlu matnai v'amer im titli masayim zuz ti mukudeshes. V'imlei titni leiti mukudeshes hareat nai bottle. Why? Mepnei shehigdem hamaisa. And he says clearly, shehigdem hamaisa v'nasan biyodei v'achar kach hisna. And Memele felt in the mishpatei atnoim. Mishpatei atnoim has to be tonight kedem l'maisa. V'aval pi shakel b'terikei dibur. So it means to say it's only a problem mishpatei atnoim because it's b'terikei dibur. You can't say shei farfalm. It's done already. But nevertheless, mitzad mishpatei atnoim, it has to be the tonight kedem l'maisa. V'arezu mekudeshes miyad ve'ena tzricha little klum. The tonight is not chal. Memele she's mekudeshes. And it's not negay the tonight. So that's the first din that it has to be tonight kedem l'maisa. V'chein, the Rambam says another din. Im amr lo im titni li masayim zuz is hareat mukudeshes li bediner zeh v'achar kach nasna dinner. So here was the tonight kedem l'maisa. Im titni masayim zuz hareat mukudeshes li, and then he gave her the dinner. Aber von deswegen hareat nai bottle. Why? Because he didn't say him late titni. Sharei le amar love him late titni late mukudeshes. V'harezu mukudeshes miyad vein tzicha litn lakum. So in Mela there has to be a tnai kofel. That's another din. So the Ram gave us a tzir where it wasn't tnai kedem l'maisa, and now he's telling us a tzir where it wasn't a tnai kofel. Halachah vav v'chein im amar lo. He started off akert im late titni li masayim zuz late mukudeshes. V'im titli masayim zuz ariyat mukudeshes li bediner zeh v'achar kach nasan adina biyodi is again ariyat nai bottle. Why? Mipnei shehigdem lav lehen v'areze mukudeshes miyad v'eina tzricha litn. She's mukudeshes because since he was magdem lav lehen, so mele it's eina mukudeshes. Memela, she's so that we don't reckons up with the Tanai, and she's Mukudeshes without the Tanai. That's so it's another din. So again, so we'll learn the din that the Tanai has to be that Tanai Kedem L'Maisa, the way the Rambam learns Tanai Kedem L'Maisa, the way the Rabbi learns Tanai Kedem L'Maisa. Then there's another din, it has to be a Tanai Kafel, and then there's a third din that it has to be Hein Kedem L'Lav, that the Tzad of Yeh should be before the Tzad of No. Then the fourth din was that it has to be a davar she'efshel l'kaime v'chein im amrlo im tali l'rekia eter de l'tehem hariyat mukudeshes li bedin razeh. So again, he was magdim the t'nai to the ma'isa, and then and he was t'nai magdim the t'nai im tali l'rekia eter de l'tehem hariyat mukudeshes li bedin razeh ve'im lei tali l'rekia v'lei ter de l'tehem lei tehem mukudeshes. V'achar kach nosan adiru b'yodesh l'chur it's a t'nai kedem l'maisa, and it's a t'nai kofel, and it's a hen kedem l'lav over the t'nai bottle. V'areya mukudeshes miyad shadavar yadua sheyafshul l'kaim t'nai zeh memela ve'ein zeh ele k'mafliga b'dvarim derech schek v'hisel. So here it doesn't sound like, it's not like a psadin in hilchis hatnoim. It's a din in das. We assume that he doesn't really mean it. He's talking. When he speaks about things which are not shaykhs to do, we consider it k'mafliga b'devarim derech schek v'hisel. And taka later on, when the Rambam is going to speak about those tnoim which don't need mishpatei atnoim, but this din applies there as well. Even those places where you don't need the mishpatei atnoim, but this din that if it's a davar she'ef shalikaim applies as well. Yeah. So that's these dinim. In the Mishnah Melech has an arichos in the beginning of the period. One of the things that he declares is there's a din that it has to be hein kedem l'lav. So what would be if it would be lav kedem l'hein, and then at the end he would furious again. Notice there would be lav, and then there would be hein. There has to be the hein kedem l'lav. What would be if there would be the hein, and then the lav, and then again hein? He would say three ways. Is it a din that the hein has to come first, or is the din is that the hein shouldn't be last? Because there's a svara to say that once he said the hein, so the lav we don't reckon zich with. If the hein is kedem l'lav, so the whole lav, so knows like this. He's saying hariyat mukudeshes li im titni, and then he fears who is beferish im lei titni enat mukudeshes li. So maybe he feared who is clearly the lav. Masha'enkin, if the lav was kedem l'hein, so since he finished off with the hein, and after the hein he didn't say a lav, so Mele is obliged the hein, and the lav is not mevatel the hein. So the Mele it'll come out that if a Moshe it'll be hein kedem l'lav, and then after the lav again he said the hein. So that'll be a problem. The problem is going to be because sof kol sof at the end he said a hein, and since at the end he said a hein, the fact that he said a lav earlier is not enough to take away the hein. That's the tzad. The Mishnah has kamat stodim in this din, in all these pratim. What's in the kudus hadvarim? But I'm saying, when you this in, you can hear it easily. Whereas the pshat is that the hein kedem l'lav is not so much negeh that the hein should be kedem l'lav. It's more negeh that the lav should be last. So mele, if you'll have a hein kedem l'lav, and then you'll have again a hein, so mele sof kol sof, the lav wasn't last. So mele the t'nai is bon. That's one of the studim that he declares. He declares kamat studim. Halachah ches. So we're saying that a t'nai she'ef shalakaimei is not a t'nai. Hareshi hisna bedover she'ef shalasese el shatera asreise kigein she'amal isha im techli chele v'dam hariyat mukadeshes li bedin razeh v'im lei techli leiti mukadeshes or im techli b'sar chazir harize gitech v'im lei techli lei eget v'acha shehisna nosan adinere aget b'yada. So it was a aleg zachen. It was a tnai. It was a hen kedem l'lav, and it was a tnai kofel, and it was a and it was a tnai kedem l'maisa. But l'chura, the shaila is that this considered the davar she'ef shalikaima. Physically, it's ef shalikaima, but she's not allowed to do it. So the din is hariyat tnai kaim. Memela v'im avra v'achla tiyah mukadeshes v'mugureshes v'im lei achla eina mukadeshes v'ein mugureshes v'ein eimrim b'zeh hari hisna al masha kosu batera. L'churi means, and the rule is the kalamasna mashakasa batera tnoi bottle. So l'churi harihisna mashakasa batera is making a t'nai that she should do something against what it says in the Torah. So he says, no, Shari biyoda shalei teichel v'leitis kaddish v'leitis garish. Not sure what the answer is. What's the answer? Shari biyoda, she doesn't have to. Shari biyoda shalei teichel v'leitis kaddish v'leitis garish. Maybe we'll get back to it. Ubameh omru, halacha tes, ubameh omru, kol hamastal mashakosu b'teiret tnoi bottle, chutz midavar shebemam. So we have a rule that a mastal mashakosu b'teiret tnoi bottle, chutz midavar shebemam. What does that mean? Going. Shekidish, a girish, a nosan, imocher al tnai. Person made a kedushin, or a gerushin, or a maisin asina, mechira, and he made a tnai. What's a tnai? Shehu reitze b'tnoi, sheyaska atzmei, b'dover shalei zichsoli teira, umona mimenu, e yifter atzmei b'tnai midover shechia ve'esa b'teira. No, the person is making a maisa, he's making a chales, and in this chales, there's rules of the Torah, what's yeah and what's not. There's rules of the Torah, as we'll soon see. And he wants to make this chales, and he wants to make chales with a t'nai that the rules should be different. Even though normally these are the rules, but he wants to have new rules for himself. He wants to that this should be chal only be'efen kazeh, that these rules should be differently. So that he doesn't have a right. Nachamo. What does he want? He wants to have something that according to the Torah he doesn't have. The Torah was mineh that from him. He wants yifter atzmei b'tnai. He wants his night to tuv that he should be potter midavar shechiv eisa be'atera. So what do we say? The t'nai that you're making is bottle. You want to make this ba'ifin kazeh that things that the way the Torah set it up should be different. Memele t'noich bottle ukvarnes kaima masecha ve'enat nifter midavar shechiv eischa be'atera v'leitiske midavar shemana eischa mimenu. You're making a chales and you want that this chales, normally this should be the rules of the chales, and you want to make this chales be'efin kazeh that there should be new rules. So on that the din is azay, that since you're trying to make new rules, those new rules don't happen, and the chales is chal anyways. King Ketzah, he says the example. Ketzah, in shekidish isha al t'nai she'en le olav she'er ksus ve'ena. He marries a woman, so he's making a chales kedushin, and he wants that the t'nai should be that he shouldn't have the chiyuvi of sher ksus ve'ena, which is the normal chiyuvim that come together with marriage. She'em leherze. B'ksus u'sher, as far as ksus u'sher is concerned, since we're dealing with dvarim shebemom t'noich kai, b'pnei shut nai shebemom, so the isha can be meichel. In other words, you're getting married, b'tnai that she should be meichel the sher ksus. That's besed. Aval b'oina, as far as oina is concerned, which is not a davar k'bemom, t'noich bottle. The t'nai is bottle. The t'nai is not chal. Why? Sha'teira chiyava escha be'ena. The Torah was mechayev escha be'ena. So you can't make a kedushin in which there's no chiyavena. There's no such a kedushin. Kedushin means that there's a kedushin with a chiyavena. That's what the Torah said. So what do you want? You want that the kedushin should be without a chiyavena. You don't. The t'nai doesn't give you an ability to create a kedushin without a chiyavena. What should be with the kedushin? Since I only want a kedushin without a chiyavena, and since lepel, you tell me I can't make such a kedushin. The person can't make such a kedushin without a chiyavena. So let the kedushin become bottle. We say no. There's two dinim here. A masla mashakasa batera. The pshat is the t'nai is not chal, and the maisa is kayim. A masla mashakasa batera is no bottle. That's number one. And also, v'amaisa kayim. V'areze mukudeshes v'ata chayav beinosa v'ein biyotcha lifter atzmecha betnoich v'chein kol kiyetz b'zeh. So that's together. The says so. L'chura the din of a masnal mashakasa b'teirat noi bottle is b'chal a different din completely. Whereas the gather advar there's a hilchas at t'noi. T'noi means a person makes a ma'aseh chales, and that ma'aseh chales he wants that it should be contingent on something. Almanas, that she should give him a sayim zuz. That's in kedushin doesn't want that she should give him a sayim zuz. He wants to make a chales kedushin, and he wants the chales kedushin should only be chal in a way that she should give him a sayim zuz. So on that we say, listen, if the Tanai was made properly, so then the Tanai is takachal, and the whole Kedushin depends on her giving him Masayim Zuz. Mashainkin over here, it's not pshat, he wants someone to do something. He wants that he wants to make a Maisa Kedushin, and he wants that this Maisa Kedushin shouldn't have a Chiyuvena. So I say, there's no such a Metzias of having a Maisa Kedushin. You could have a Maisa Kedushin where the woman is Meichel on Dover Shebamam. The halacha is that a Dover Shebamam is Noikay. So she's Meichel on Dover Shebamam. So you're making a Maisa Kedushin, but tonight that she'll be Meichel on Dover Shebamam. But you want a Maisa Kedushin that there shouldn't be a Chiyuvena. There's no such a thing as a Maisa Kedushin with a Chiyuvena. And Memela, that tonight is bottle. And Memela, what's with the Maisa? The Maisa is Kai. That's the din. So that's the din of Maisa Kai. So that's the din of a Masna Mashikosa Batera. Over here, it's not pshat. You're trying to make the Chales should be a different type of Chales. Over here, you're being Mekadosh Isha, and Mekadosh Isha with all the regular din of Mekadosh Isha. But you're making it b'tnai that this woman should do a Maisa Avera. You're doing it b'tnai that the woman should do a Maisa Avera. So it's a different din. So since Lepel, she could do the Avera. She could do the Avera. She's not allowed to do the Avera, but she could do the Avera. So Mela is considered a Dover She'ef Shelekaimik. Since it's considered a Dover She'ef Shelekaimik, so that's a din of a Tanai. So in other words, comparing the din by us, where you make a Tanai with a woman on Manasseh, she should do something which is awesome. To the case of a Masna Mashikosa Batera, has no connection l'chura at all. There's b'chlal no connection. In other words, over there the pshat is I can't make a Tanai to create a different type of kedushin. I can't make a kedushin that doesn't have a chiyuvena. And there is a chiyuvena, and since I can't make such a kedushin, the kedushin is chal, and the Tanai is bottle. Over here, l'chura, I'm making a Maisa Kedushin. I'm not trying to make a different type of Maisa Kedushin. I'm making a Maisa Kedushin, which the Tanai is that she should do a Dover Osir. But vices from the Rambam that there is he's explaining the difference, but there's l'chura bepashtas, they have no connection at all. And the Rambam is saying l'chura it's a Masna Mashikosa Batera. So he says no, Masna Mashikosa Batera means the case like we're saying. But over here, since she has the option not to do it, in other words, it seems like if we wouldn't have the end of Halachah Ches, that's we're going back over there. That's not the word. The word is Bechlal. There's no connection. Since so he doesn't. It's not pshat his. You know, if we're going to accept his Tanai, you're saying like, in other words, from the Rambam comes like this. In the case of a Masna Kosh Mashikosa Batera, so if you're going to accept it tonight, it comes out that what it says in the Torah is not going to work. The Torah says that Kedushin has a Chiyuvena, and if you're going to accept it tonight, it means there's going to be a Kedushin without a Chiyuvena. Mashainkin over here, even if you're going to accept it tonight, it doesn't mean that you're going to go into the Torah, because the Tanai only means that the Chales Kedushin is contingent on this, but she always has the option not to do it. So Memela, so even accepting the Tanai is not Machriach, that you're not going to do Al Pi Torah. That's l'chura what it says in the Rambam before. The question is, what do we need it for? L'chura, they have no shaykhas l'chatchila. Okay, I'll quote upon it. V'chein, it gives you another example of a mastal mashikosa batera. Hamekadish yifas teir al t'nai she is amerbo. Now the din is when a person marries a yifas teir, so he's not allowed to be misamerba. You're not allowed to work with her. He's not allowed to use her as a shivka. You have to treat her as a wife. If a person is Mekadosh Yefasteir, but B'Tanai, he doesn't want that there should be the Isur Yisamerba. So the din is Harezim Mukadeshes. And the Ein Leili Yisamerba. Shariatera Mona Esei Meli Ishtabit B'Achar Shenivula. The Torah says you're not allowed to. Memela, the fact that he wants that there should be a Chales Kedushin without this Isur Torah doesn't work. V'lei Mipnei Pnoi Yiske B'Davar Shemona Isur Torah. There's the fact that he made a Tanai is not going to give him a right to get something which the Torah says he doesn't have a right to. So Nachamos, so the Nekudas Advarim is that there's a Tanai which Iyaf Shalakaime is, the Tanai is bottle. Mashenkin, if it's a Tanai that she should do a Maisa Isser, so the Tanai is Kayam. And the reason is because she has the Breira not to do the Maisa Isser. That's why it's not called a Masnal Mashikosa Batera. That's the Lashon Rambam. That since she has the Breira not to do the Maisa Yisr, So therefore, it's not considered a masna mashakos batera. What's together of masna mashakos batera? You want to make a chales, and in this chales is built in the halachas of the Torah of how the chales works, and you want the chales should be chal differently. You want that there should be a kedushin without a chiyavena. You want that there should be a kedushin of a yefas Torah without the isav amrba. So your tanai is not going to change the diniyat Torah and the diniyat chales. Halacha Yudalef. Hisna ala isha b'shas kedushin e b'shas gerushin. Shetiboy lo via ulachia elibno ukiyetzabaza. That she should do a ma'aseh isa, but not a ma'aseh isa she could do herself, but a ma'aseh isa with someone else, a beila to someone else. Is that harei zeh kimisha hisna la shetalu l'rakia esheteder l'tehem utnoi bottle? Why? She'ein biyoda sheyavra acherim v'yaver lo erva. She doesn't have the power. It's not within her power to be able to get someone else to do an issa. The lav dafka, they'll want to do an issa. Memela v'nimtze shehisna b'dover she'en b'yoda l'kaim v'chein kol kiyetz b'zeh. So l'chura, anything that's totally with someone else, abel in hisno la sheyitnu li pleini chatzere. He made a tanai with her that she should persuade someone to give me his chatzar. Sheyasi bite libni. The tanai with her was that she should persuade someone they should give his daughter to my son. Why? Because she does have the ability. How does she have the ability? So the Pashas Rambam is that everything has a price. In other words, you're asking her to get someone to do something. She can't. He doesn't want to do it. She said, "What do you mean he doesn't want to do it? You pay him money. He doesn't want to. For $1 million, he doesn't do it. But for $5 million, for $10 million, in other words, everything has a price. Masha'inkin, if we're dealing with doing an avera, so an avera, there's no price. So maybe she doesn't really have the ability to be able to persuade someone to do the avera because the isser of doing an avera, there's no price. Mimela, that goes into a gather of davar she'ef shulakayim. Halacha Yud Gimel. Sim elo hadvarim shel tnoim leneged inecha tamid. V'chol mokim shatishemea mekadesh al tnai kach v'kach. Eyanesen get al tnai kach v'kach. Eyamecher eyanesen al tnai teda shatnai yesh be'arbo dvarim elo shebiyanu kedei sheliniya tzrichim lefarish esem b'chol mokim v'mokim. So that's the Tanai has to have the Daled Dvarim. It has to be a Tanai Kofel, it has to be Hein Kedem Lulav, it has to be Tanai Kedem Lamaisa, and it has to be a Dover She'ef Shalakayim. Yesh Miktas Ge'inim Achreinim, from the Ge'inim Achreinim, the Rif, Sha'omru, refers to the Rif, Sha'omru, She'ein Odom Tzorech Lichpil Tnoi, Ele Begitnu Kedushim Bavad. Aval Bedini Momen Ein Tzorech Lichpil. The din of Tnai Kofel only applies to Gitna Kedushin. And the Rambam says, "Ve'in roi lismich al davar zeh, shekvelas atnai im shar harbot dvarim, mit tnai b'nei God b'nei Ruven lamdu, oisin chacham, im yavru b'nei God v'chulu, v'im le yavru, utnai zeh lehoya lebegitn lebegedushin." So since the dinim of the daled dvarim of Tnoim, we learn out from b'nei God b'nei Ruven, so the pashtus by b'nei God b'nei Ruven, it wasn't Gitna Kedushin. So Mele, from here we understand that the dinim of the Daled Dvarim of Tanai doesn't necessarily have to apply to Gitna Kedushin. It's also Dvarim Shebamamet. Ukazeh Chayru Gedeli Hageinim Harishenim V'chein Roy Lasis. That's Rabbi Goyin in the Shiltis of the Rabbi Choish. The Shiltis of Rabbi Choy Goyin. So over there it says that it refers to everything. Halacha Tezvov Hamekadosh al Tanai. When a person makes a Tanai, is sheyiskayim atnai tia mukudeshes mishoshin iskayim atnai lei mishoshin iskacha. The kedushin, in other words, is contingent that when the tnai is niskayim, that's when the kedushin will be chal. Ketzad eimol isha im etin loch masayim zuz b'shona zu is hareyat mukudeshes li b'diner zeh v'im lei etin loch leiti mukudeshes v'nosen hadiner liyode b'nissen. So Harei Zu Mikudeshes Bel. She becomes Mikudeshes when there's the Kiyum at night. Lefichach. Im Kitcha Sheni Kedem Shniskayim at night Shorishin. is a reason mekudeshes l'sheni. V'chein adin begitten u'b'momenes. B'shor sheyiskayim atnai hu sheyi get, yiskayim amekach yamatona. So the tnai, the gather of a tnai means that when the kiyum atnai happens, that's when the kedushin or the gerushin or the mekach umemke is chal. B'med dvarim amurim b'shohayu shem tnai v'loyamim yachshav. There was the tnai. He said, if this and this will happen, im titli masayim zos, aniyatim lach masayim zos. It will be kedushin. If not, not. He didn't say Eloshnim Yachshav. Avalim Omerlo, Hareyat Mikudeshes Li Miachshav, Bedinur Zeh. He said the Eloshnim Yachshav. Im Etin Lach Masayim Zuz. Ula'achar Zman Noslo Masayim Zuz. So then, Harezu Mikudeshes L'Mafreya Mishas HaKadushim. Afal Pi Shelinasa Tnai Elo La'achar Zman Meruba. So a regular Tnai, so the Chales Kedushin happens by the Kiyum Tnai. Mashenkin, if you say the Eloshnim Yachshav, so then, the Chaletz Kedushin happens mi'achshav on the condition that there was a kiyum atnai. Lefichach im kitcha acher kedem she'osa atnai. So the second Kedushin is Eina Mekudeshes. V'chein adin begitten u'b'momenes, because once the tnai was niskayim, so the mafreya, she was already Mekudeshes l'rishon, and if she was Mekudeshes l'rishon, so she can't become Mekudeshes l'sheni. Kol ha'emer, now that's the din number one. So there's a din of mi'achshav. Then now the Rambam says, Kol ha'emer mi'achshav, you don't need a tnai kofel. V'lei lahagdim atnai lemaisa. El'afal pi shehigdim hamaisa tnoi kayim. So these din, the mishpatei atnoim, that you have to have a tnai kofel, and that you have to have a tnai kedin lemaisa, doesn't apply to a tnai where there's mi'achshav. Aval sarich lahasnid b'dover. This prat that you have to be master bedover she'ef shelikaimi, that you have to have the hisna bedover she'ef shelikaimi, memele hareza kimaflik bedvarim ve'en shem tnai. V'chole'emer al menas. So that's number one. So when a person says mi'achshav, you don't have to have a tnai kofel, and you don't have to have tnai kedin l'maisa. You don't have to have tnai kedin l'maisa. And so the pastor, he doesn't mention henkedin l'lav, but the pastors, you don't have to have a tnai kofel bechlal. So obviously you don't need henkedin l'lav. You don't need bechlal the lav. You don't need a tnai kofel. V'im hisna bedover she'ef shelikaimi is hareze k'maflik bedvarim ve'en shem tnai. V'chol ha'emer al menas is ke'emer mi'achshav ve'en tzarich lichpul atnai v'lei lagdim l'maisa. So there's two chidushim. Ein chidush that a koleimer mi'achshav bechlal doesn't have to have the mishpatei atnoim, and then there's another din that koleim al manas came mi'achshav dam. Now Tesis mevurim, a lot of places where Tesis asks kashas, the lechura where is at my kofel, and Tesis talks about places where it says al manas. So Vices from Tesis he learns not like that. Tesis learns that even when a person says al manas and koleim al manas came mi'achshav dam, that's the halacha. Nevertheless, there's din of mishpatei atnoim. It's not like the Rambam. The Rambam is saying that the whole din of mishpatei atnoim only applies to those tnoim which will be chal later. There's through the kiyum atnai, that's how the chales will be chal. But those tnoim which are not that the chales will be chal through the kiyum atnai, but through the kiyum atnai will be mizgal milsel mafreya. There's the das. There's it's a din and das. You have only das if it'll be a tnai. That's the gather of l'mafreya. L'mafreya means my das is now contingent on the tnai. It's like a different gather of tnai. Why the tnai where you say that the chales is chal in the tnai? The pshat is I'm being mekadesh isha now, and the chales hakadushin is going to be chal by the tnai. That's a chidush. That's the chidush atera and hilchas atnoim, that there is a musik that can make a chales kadushin now, and lepel the chales will be chal by kiyum atnai. That's a chidush. And then there's another din. That there's a din that I have a chales kedushin. I'm making a kedushin now, and I have to have das for the kedushin. So I'm saying my das is only if this and this happens. If this and this doesn't happen, I never had das now, but lapel is happening now. That's a different din, and that you don't need mishpatei atnoim. That's a shittas Rambam. And the other Rishonim hold not like that. There are other Rishonim hold that even this Inyan that I have das for kedushin, and my das is totally in something, and it's totally like my chales kedushin now is totally in something else, is also verbunden with mishpatei atnoim. And if there's no mishpatei atnoim, it doesn't work. Halachah yudches ketzad Heimeli isha, hareat mukudeshesli, al menashe titli masayim zuz. Is hareze oder hareze gitech, al menashe titli masayim zuz. Harichotze zun esunalav matona, al menashe titli masayim zuz. So he said al manas. And I'm calling him al manas, came a me'achshav dami. So the din is aritznoi kain. V'niskacho isha in his garsha v'zoche ze b'chotzer, only v'hem yitno masayim zuz. V'hem lei nosnu, is lei tu izum mukadeshes, v'lei tis karer zu, v'lei is kazeh b'chotzer. So the tnai is kaim, and if they give, so it's chal, either the kedushin, the gerushin, or the kinyan, and if they don't give, it's not chal. V'aval pi sheli kofel tnoi, there was no tnai kofel. V'aval pi shehigdam ha'maisel tnai, and v'nosan ha'kedushin yaget b'yoda, v'hirzik ze b'chotzer, v'achar kach yishlim tnoi. Is nevertheless the tnai is kaim. Sharek she is kaim atnai yiska ze b'chotzer with his kader zu with his gader zu mishor rishena shebon nasa ma'isa kilu lehoyishum tnai klal. So the whole din of mishpatei atnoim is only when the tnai will shaft the inyan. Mashengan over here, what's going to shaft the inyan is the ma'isa. The ma'isa is shafting the inyan. Just later on, when it's going to be the tnai, so then it'll be shaflim afreya. Memela, since it'll shaflim afreya, it'll be kilo. Whereas the tnai of uvyaton, that kilo, the das, the original das, was totally in the tnai. It's a din in the das, but it's not the din in the maisa. Once the tnai was niskayim, so it's kilo. There was never a tnai, and memela was niskayim. Kilo was never a tnai. It happened earlier. So memela, the whole din of mishpatei atnoim, according to the Rambam, doesn't apply in such a case. Over here we see clearly that even though you did the Maisa already, but since Techidei Dibur, you finished off the Tnai, which was Naifan of Almanas, so that Tnai is Kaim. It's not Pshat. Once you did the Maisa, you can't make the Tnai. You're in the middle. You're in the middle of the Maisa, it's Techidei Dibur, you're still finishing off the Tnai. So if we're dealing with a regular Tnai, so it's a chsaron of Maisa Kedem with Tnai. It has to be Tnai Kedem with Maisa. It's a din Hilchas Mishpatei Atnoim, like we said before. But over here, that there's no Mishpatei Atnoim, so you can finish off the tnai even after you gave it to her.